saying the Heartsutra mantra together for 7 times. And while we are saying the mantra, mainly we will use the sound of the mantra as an object to focus our mind, to raise the awareness. Raise the awareness in the sense of, once again, to bring our minds back to this room with this body, and then raise the awareness. And the second purpose, as I suggested earlier, to invoke blessings and inspiration from the Buddha to understand this subject, emptiness, shunyata, as he intends to teach. Now then, I'm looking at the same paragraph. Now this two statements, form is empty, emptiness is form, and the emptiness is not other than form is also not other than emptiness. You can apply that statement to every existent thing. For example, in the second, in the same way, feeling, you can say feeling is empty Emptiness is feeling. Emptiness is not other than feeling. Feeling also not other than emptiness. You can also say, the table is empty. Emptiness is table. Emptiness is not other than table. Table is also not other than emptiness. Happiness is empty. Emptiness is happiness. Emptiness is not other than happiness. Happiness is not other than emptiness. Pain. Pain is empty. Emptiness is pain. Emptiness is not other than pain. Pain is also not other than emptiness. I. I is empty. Emptiness is I. Emptiness is not other than I. I is not other than emptiness. So you can apply that all the way up to enlightenment. And that way you will start to understand the detail of emptiness and the what you call the conventional reality. In that way, the understanding of emptiness will stay in the middle way. Middle way, in the sense of, it will not deny. That understanding will not deny, not reject, not eliminate the conventional side of the things and events, such as form, feeling, pain, happiness, this multiplicity, this multi-reality that we have, and that's the conventional side of the things and events. And it is also not ignore the ultimate side of the things and events, which is empty, empty of the substantial reality. So this, the purpose why Buddha taught this, like this, what's called flopping back and forth. It is not just there's some Buddha hasn't got anything to do, so he just flop back and forth. It has a purpose. It has a meaning. The meaning or the purpose is the understanding of emptiness, not to deny, not to reject, not to eliminate the conventional side of the things and events. Because we all know there's a pain, there's happiness, there's a joy, there's a disappointment, there's a body, there's a feeling, and that is true. That is also reality. If we try to ignore that reality, we will suffer. Same as if we try to ignore the other side of the reality, which is absence or empty of substantial reality. At the present, most of us, experiencing difficulties because we ignore this side of the reality. Because of ignore this side of the reality, this conventional reality becomes very rigid, very solid, very concrete, very substantial. Because we ignore this. But if we ignore this reality, which is the conventional reality, we will suffer. No difference. So therefore, this saying, form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. Then carry on. All the things is important. Okay? Okay, we must move on, otherwise we will never going to finish. Now then, next paragraph, which I'm going to look at, is saying, Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic. So I want to look at from there. Without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Isn't it? There are how many? 6 or anyway, it doesn't matter the number. So now, these are again something little bit looking at a little bit of detail. Up to now, we just say form, feeling, such and such. But these things and events, they have, as I said earlier, multi-characteristics. Form has many different characteristics, many different functions, many different activities. Our form, my form as my body, it produces, different things. It has a characteristic. But these characteristics, these functions, these, whatever, all these characteristic, multi-function, they are also, same as form itself, they are also empty. And that's what this paragraph is dealing with. In other words, the previous paragraph is dealing with the nature, the actual thing, in this case, form, feeling, discrimination, so on and so forth, up to enlightenment. That next paragraph is dealing with their characteristics, their the functions. Some functions are produce the result. Some functions are they cease, stop, continuation. Some things have the characteristics of purity. Some things do not have the characteristics of purity, so on and so forth. These, in other words, multi-characteristics. In here, there are 8 multi-characteristics. These characteristics, or these features, they are also same as the object itself, absence, empty of, substantial reality. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that is the second paragraph. When it says without characteristics, as we all know, characteristics, means to, for example, this object differs from this object. The difference is because they have different characteristics. That characteristics can be different functions, different properties, and so on and so forth. Isn't that so? As simple as that, characteristics. And then the next one is saying, unproduced, produced, produced, the causes and conditions produce result. Most of the things and events, almost all, there are very few things, almost all the things and events that we interact, physically, verbally, mentally, we interact, they all produce something. They all, very few, do not. Don't ask those what I feel. I will not tell you. Then it says uncease. That means cease. Cessation. Stop. Again, most of the things and events that we have, that we interact, they come into being, stay for a while, stop, cease. Isn't it? That's very gross, actually. According to the Buddhist understanding, the things first come, then stay, then cease. It's very gross. In reality, according to the Buddhist understanding, while they are coming into being, even that moment they are stopping, ceasing. So anyway, that is cease, uncease. Stainless. Stainless the stain in the sense of tima in Tibetan, some of things, some of our emotions, some of our actions, some of our possessions have faults, have difficulties, cause us pain and difficulties. Stain in that sense. Stain in the sense of cause pain and difficulties. Stainness. And not without stain. And that means, that some of, at the moment we don't have that much, but we aim. We aim, we work, we have a strong aspiration to have, such as to experience, the liberation, to experience, the cessation of suffering and the origin of suffering. These are, without stain. Without stain in the sense of, there are things like liberation from the Buddhist point of view, like liberation, like cessation, like enlightenment. They do not, when we interact with them emotionally, when we interact with them, when we experience them, they will not bring pain and difficulties. In that sense, it's called without stain. Without stain. Then the deficient, division. Division in the sense of to reduce, to deteriorate. There are many things that we have to deteriorate, to reduce its number. Do you remember yesterday what I've said? These grey hairs, my wrinkles are the signs of the reducing my life living in this world. I'm sure you don't want to hear that. And fulfilled. There are sometimes in our ordinary life there are fulfillment. We aim something and we work for that and we get that, experience that, and that's fulfillment. And some of those fulfillment are not long-term fulfillment. Initially when we got there, we have sense of fulfilled. But then when day passes, week passes, that fulfillment reduces. We want another one. So fulfillment. That's a temporary fulfillment. But there are long-term fulfillment, as I put it, saying that, such as from the Buddhist point of view, liberation and so on and so forth. So this second paragraph, which I just briefly read, is mainly dealing with the multi-characteristics of the things and events that we have, and saying they are also empty. So, as I suggest, sometimes it is quite useful if a solid thing, there's something which bothers you a lot. There's something, it can be a person, it can be your emotion, it can be an object which bothers you a lot, annoys you a lot. Just to think. Use this statement. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Relation to that object, or relation to that person, relation to that feeling. Then bring the understanding of emptiness. It may help. I'm saying it may help. So I didn't give you a guarantee. Yeah. Now I want to move back to the paragraph where we left yesterday. The paragraph, saying Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattva, which the main body of the text, which is in the second paragraph. So I want to move there and finish the Heartsutra. So this paragraph starts saying Shariputra, therefore in the sense of earlier saying from the form aggregates to all the way up to attainment, there's no, what's called substantial reality or entity, or in other words, they all are empty. Therefore, in that sense, because there's no attainment in the sense of, there's no attainment in the sense of attainment which is substantially existence. No attainment, not in the sense of there's nothing, no attainment in the sense of attainment, there's no attainment in the sense of attainment which exists from its own right. That kind of attainment does not exist. So that's the meaning of here. Because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. So this is very important statement. In other words, what it's saying is there is attainment. In other way around, there is attainment, but that attainment is not substantially existent attainment. Therefore it's no attainment. But there is attainment, isn't it? So it is saying, there is a being. There are beings in this room. There are beings in this room, but these beings are absence of not being. Can you make it sense or not? I'm making you to think. Otherwise, if you don't think, these words will be very, very annoying for you. So that's why I'm making you to think. There are beings in this room. Yeah, there are beings in this room. But these beings are absence of or empty of not being. Does it make sense or not sense? Yeah. It is almost saying exactly in here. What it's saying is there is an attainment. Bodhisattva can achieve, can experience. There is attainment. But that attainment is empty, absence of substantial reality. Therefore, there is attainment. If the attainment were not absence or empty of inherent substantially existent, then Bodhisattva have nothing to do. Bodhisattvas have so many things to do because there is an attainment which is absence or empty of substantially existent. That's the meaning. When this line says, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the sense of they have so many things to do. Rely on, dwell in the sense of, that in English they have this expression saying soak in. Soak in. In other words, if it's heavy raining, then your body is soaked with rain. So this statement saying rely on, dwell in the sense of the bodhisattva's entire activity is to cultivate, to experience perfection of wisdom. Why? Because this perfection of wisdom realizes or leads or to take them to experience attainment. Attainment which is empty of substantial existence. Does it make sense? That is really important to know. Now I will not talk that much because I have said perfection of wisdom my last week, in my last visit. So if I repeat it again, then it will not get much, further. So if you want to know what is the perfection of wisdom, you should listen. In my last visit, blah blah. So then it says the mind without obscuration and without fear. So when the bodhisattvas, or when you guys rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, then your mind will be free from any kind of obscuration. There won't be any kind of fear, difficulties, so on and so forth. And that's what meaning here. The mind without obscuration. Without obscuration in the sense of you will see, you will feel, you will understand the things and events as they are. Like if you go to, yesterday I was talking about Vienna is very, very famous of operas, so I'm sure you have lots of experiences of going to opera. So when the curtain is drawn, you won't see the performance. When the curtains open, you will see the performance as they are. Although before the curtain is drawn, you may have read the leaflet, who are there, who's performing, who's singing, who's blah blah blah. You may get some idea, but you haven't seen the performance, who they are. The moment curtain is drawn, open, you will see them. So free from obscuration to see the performance, who they are. Isn't it? And that's the meaning in here. The mind without obscuration in the sense of when we rely on, dwell in the perfection of wisdom, what that wisdom will do, that wisdom will cure or eliminate the obscurations to see the things and events as they are. And that's the meaning. And when we see the things and events as they are, then there will be no sense of fear, difficulties. Because we have seen things and events as they are. At the present, we have concerns, we have fears, we have difficulties, and so on and so forth, because we are unable to see the things and events as they are, therefore they are fears. So that's saying, without fear. Then, having completely passed beyond error, of course, then they reach the end point of nirvana. Of course, that is what does it mean experiencing or attaining nirvana, liberation, enlightenment, in the minor Buddhist term, means when our minds are completely free from the delusions, afflictions, that is what does it mean experiencing liberation, experiencing nirvana, cessation, enlightenment. Attaining liberation in nirvana is not going to somewhere pure land, so-called pure land, or going to somewhere to book your holiday. It is not physically going somewhere. When in Buddhism, when we say attaining enlightenment or experiencing enlightenment or achieving enlightenment, whatever term you use, it is not physically going to somewhere. It's not that. It is mental process. Mentally, our minds, thoughts, emotions are freeing from, separating from the delusions. And if that happens, that is nirvana, that is liberation. And that's what it says, end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassed. All the Buddhas. This is again some sort of the alien language for you. All the Buddhas who dwell in three times. It is quite often expressed. This expression is used very often in the Mahayana Buddhist literatures. The meaning is this. The concept is this. There were many Buddhas in the past. There are many Buddhas in the present. And there will be many Buddhas in the future. So that's what it means three times. Three times in the sense of, who are already attained or achieved enlightenment, past. Who are doing it, present. Who will do it, future. So that's the meaning. Here the impression is this. In other words, if you have not dwelled in or rely on or dwell in the perfection of wisdom, you will not attain or experience enlightenment. The meaning why this statement is bringing over here, saying all the Buddhas who dwell in three times, the purpose of bringing this statement is that's the only way. The past it happened like this, present it is happening like this, and future it will happen like this. That's the only way. The only way is oneself, relying on, dwell in the perfection of wisdom. In other words, to gain that realization, to have that realization is the only way to achieve or to experience enlightenment. Because if you look at in the past, the present, and the future, that's the only way. So that's why this statement is important, by why it's here. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable. Now, manifestly, completely awakening in the sense of when the perfection of wisdom is fully and completely cultivated or experienced, then there is no time to that person. There's no time saying that person is in a meditative state or post-meditation meditative state. There's no that sort of alternation. All the time. Although that person is eating food or drinking wine or whatever, but they mentally there's no this sort of alteration. For us, even in this Mickey Mouse meditation, we have to alternate. While we are meditating, we can't do other things. As soon as we do other things, our mind moves from that on the subject where we are meditating. But when the perfection of wisdom is fully, completely cultivated, is experienced, then this kind of alteration is gone. Is gone. So that's why here the term is used, also manifestly, completely awakened of unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in the reliance on the perfection of wisdom. So that is so unsurpassable, perfect, complete. These are the characteristics or the features of enlightenment. So I will not go that much in there. So that's that paragraph. Then the next paragraph. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom. Now, mantra. Just briefly to say this. Mantra, in the sense of, I can't remember whether I said this or not. Anyway, Heartsutra, this Heartsutra is one of the earliest minor sutras. One of the earliest minor sutras, this Heartsutra. Indian masters wrote so many different commentaries on this Heartsutra. Some of the Indian masters, they wrote commentaries on this Heartsutra towards the Vajrayana traditions. Vajrayana tradition. Very few, not many. Some of the Indian masters wrote this, the commentary, the Heartsutra towards the Vajrayana teachings. But most commentators, Heartsutra, is commented as a, not Vajrayana, but mainly the Bodhisattva teachings.
Which one?
Sorry,
which one?
Which one?
Yes, Vajrayana.
Oh, Vajrayana. I'm not sure which Vajrayana, but there are commentaries. If you read
which master?
One of the Indian master, I think his name is called Geshe-la. Can't remember, but there's Indian master. If you want to know. And now, here the mantra should not be understood. Should not be understood as a Vajrayana. And mantra simply in the sense of, because mantra has this connotation. In Sanskrit, mantra, mana yi tara kyo. Literally it means protection. Protecting the mind. Mantra, it means, the meaning is, mantra means protecting the mind. Mantra. Manayi. Man has a connotation of mind. Tra, protection. So mantra literally it means protection, protecting the mind. So that's why he is saying the mantra of perfection of wisdom. Mantra of perfection of wisdom in the sense of the perfection of wisdom. If we cultivate the perfection of wisdom, that wisdom will protect our minds. So as simple as this, when it's a mantra, the mantra. Then it says mantra of great knowledge, because this perfection, the wisdom realizing emptiness, is great knowledge. Great knowledge, mantra of great knowledge, in the sense of the protection, the knowledge great knowledge which protects our mind from the difficulties. That's why saying the mantra of great knowledge. The unsurpassed mantra. This mantra in the sense of this perfection of wisdom realizing emptiness, is unsurpassed protection. Unsurpassed in the sense of there's no more profound, no more deep, no more effective, the protection than a protection for our mind than this wisdom realizing emptiness. That's why it's saying unsurpassed mantra. The mantra equal to the unequal. So this perfection of wisdom, or wisdom realizing emptiness, is protection. There's no, the equivalence of others. There's no equivalence. It is, in other words, most, powerful or most what you call profound. So there's no equal. So that's why I call mantra equal to unequal. The mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, and that's what we discussed earlier. The mantra in the sense of the wisdom realizing emptiness, or this perfection of wisdom pacifies or eliminates or get rid of all the sufferings of our mind. So therefore it is called mantra of, mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering. Thoroughly, it has a meaning. Thoroughly. Thoroughly in the sense of when we manage to cultivate the perfection of wisdom within ourselves, that get rid of root of our difficulties, which is ignorance, which is fundamental ignorance. If we have the perfection of wisdom, the main function of the perfection of wisdom is get rid of this fundamental ignorance, which is the root of our difficulties. So that's why here the term thoroughly pacifies all suffering. Should be known as truth, since it is no false. Should be known as truth. That perfection of wisdom can be called as a truth because the perfection of wisdom sees or realizes the things and events as they are. So therefore it is truth. Truth in the sense of that the perfection of wisdom sees, understands things and events as they are. Our present minds, in the opposite of this, our present minds are false. False because our present minds cannot see, cannot realize things and events as they are. Therefore, it's false. If you look at it in the sort of opposite, false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared, or that is now what is which protects our mind from the dukkha. And here is Tayatha, Gate Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisoha. Tayatha is is just saying thus or therefore. Thus, Tayatha. Now there are 5. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi. So there are 5. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi. Now, first just briefly look at Gate. Literally it means gone. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone further beyond, and completely awakened. So that's the meaning. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone further beyond, completely awakened. Now this is the meaning. Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate. Now gone where? From where to where? When you say gone, we have to say from somewhere to somewhere. So the first gone literally it means our understanding of, in this case, the things and events, such as 5 aggregates and so on and so forth. Our understanding of the things and events which are daily, our needs or our strong, aspiration to want to achieve enlightenment. Our understanding towards these things and events are moved from what's called from grasping, believing, thinking. They have substantial reality, substantial entity. Believing from that sort of believing, thinking, grasping, having that kind of belief, that kind of grasping, gone from there to saying no, they don't have. From our daily needs to all the way up to enlightenment, they do not have that kind of substantial entity. So, do you understand? From where we've gone from here. What is here is believing, thinking, grasping. The things and events, they have substantial reality, substantial entity. From here, gone here. This is not believing they have substantial reality. Not thinking they have substantial reality. That's the gone. The meaning of gone is that. Now that gone can look at into 5 steps. 5 steps in the sense of the 5 different levels. That's why gone beyond, gone further beyond, fully awakened. So, in other words, what is talking about here is the mantra. When I say the perfection, the mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared in the sense of, when you take your minds, thoughts, emotions from here, believing, thinking they have substantial reality, from here to this, saying they don't have substantial reality, then that is the starting point of the first gone. Whether you have reached the first gone technically or not, that's I don't know. But that is the starting point. And that is the mantra. And that will protect your mind from fear, from difficulties. Okay, I think that is enough. Because I can talk to you technically what's the first gone, what's the second gone. That's not important. What is important is you need to know I can make progress. First of all, I can start to change, and that change can put into progress step by step by step by step, eventually to become fully awakened. That is the meaning of this gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisattva. Okay. Then next paragraph, Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in perfection of wisdom like this. That is the Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, saying to the Shariputra, you should train the son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage in the perfection of wisdom like this, as what Avalokiteshvara explained. Then the Bhagwan arose from the concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aya Avalokiteshvara, saying, as you know, the arrangement, Buddha, the historical Buddha, is in his deep meditation on emptiness, perfection of wisdom. Same time, the Avalokiteshvara, through his Buddha's, the power of that meditation, the power of that meditation, Buddha made Shariputra ask question to Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. So entire arrangement is this, isn't it? Now all the way, what we have so far, what we have heard so far is Avalokiteshvara answering the question of Shariputra. Isn't it? Buddha is in a form of meditation, and these two, Shariputra just asked one question, and the question is in the earlier, as you know, anyway, I will not go. And then all the way, the main sutra is Avalokiteshvara's answer. Now, Avalokiteshvara gave his whole answer to the Shariputra. Now the Buddha is coming out from his concentration, and that's what he said. Well said, son of the lineage. In other words, he said, that's right. Well said, to the Avalokiteshvara, son of the lineage. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. In other words, you have taught. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. That means, Tathagatas in the sense of the Buddhas. What Avalokiteshvara you have answered to the Shariputra's question is really, really right, perfect, there's no mistake. And what you have said, even the Buddhas, Tathagatas, Buddhas also will totally agree, rejoice in the sense of they will totally agree how you answer to this question, rejoice. The Bhagwan having thus spoken. So that is just that 2.5 lines is the actual Buddha's spoken from his mouth. Whole sutra, what Buddha said actually from his mouth is only that. Well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. One should practice profound professional wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. That 2.5 lines is the Buddha's spoken from his mouth, but most of the sutra is Avalokiteshvara's answer to the question of Shariputra. But still, it is considered as a Buddhist, teaching sutra. The Bhagwan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aya Avalokiteshvara, those sounding in their entirety along with the worlds of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagwan. Okay, that is it. Okay. One question or two questions, if you have. Okay, yeah.
There's one citation that I like a lot about the spiritual warrior, which is
spiritual warrior.
Yeah,
okay.
Give your best, but know that there is nothing to attain. And I was just thinking if that is a little the same. Okay, there's nothing concrete to obtain, maybe in terms of the attainment.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? If it makes sense also in the aspect of the Heartsutra.
Mm-hmm.
So you can obtain something, but it doesn't have this concrete, substantial.
Okay. Yes, that is exactly what is saying. There's attainment to be attained, but that attainment is not, something substantial entity, substantial reality. That is exactly what this sutra is saying earlier.
So also with Buddhahood, with enlightenment.
Exactly.
You give your best on your path.
Sorry?
Here on our path we give our best.
Even if you give best 110%, you can achieve. But what you can achieve is also absence of inherent existence. That's how it is. But it won't be empty-handed.
You won't, because I don't have.
It won't be empty-handed. It will not be empty-handed anyway. There's a full in your hand, but also nothing in your hand. So these two are possible. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Yeah. So as I suggested earlier, it is very, very useful. Read Heartsutra from time to time, and read as I suggest. Not all the time. Sometimes you may need to read very fast and close. But whenever you feel, today I like to read Heartsutra, I have a time, then read properly, in the sense of read with some sort of understanding, some kind of feeling. That will make difference. Okay, I will end the weekend, read the Heartsutra together in German once. And as I suggest, read it with this feeling of the historical Buddha. Historical Buddha is in front of you, and he is reading, giving this Heartsutra to you, and you are receiving blessing, inspiration to understand the emptiness as he attempts to teach. So read within that kind of atmosphere. So yeah, okay. Read in German.
Seite 76. Ich verneige mich vor den edlen drei Juwelen. Diese Worte hörte ich zu einer Zeit. Der Buddha saß zusammen mit einer großen Gemeinschaft von Mönchen und einer großen Gemeinschaft von Bodhisattvas auf dem Berg Gipfel in Heartsutra. Zu dieser Zeit verweilte er in dem meditativen Gleichgewicht der Konzentration auf die Vielzahl von Phänomenen, welche tiefgründige Erscheinung genannt wird. Zur gleichen Zeit betrachtete auch der edle Bodhisattva Geshe-la ausschließlich die tiefgründige Praxis der Vollkommenheit von Weisheit und sah die 5 Aggregate als Lehre von innewohnender Existenz. Dann, durch die Inspiration des Buddha, sagte der ehrenwerte Shareputra zu dem edlen Bodhisattva Geshe-la: Wie sollte jedes Kind aus guter Familie üben, das die tiefgründige Praxis der Vollkommenheit von Weisheit anwenden will? Das sagte er, und der edle Bodhisattva Geshe-la sagte zu dem ehrenwerten Shareputra, jeder Sohn und jede Tochter aus guter Familie, die tiefgründige Praxis der Vollkommenheit von Weisheit anwenden wollen, sollten folgende Ansicht annehmen. Sie sollten auch die 5 Aggregate sehr korrekt und nachdrücklich als Lehre von innewohnender Natur ansehen. Form ist Leer, Leerheit ist Form. Leerheit ist nichts anderes als Form und Form ist auch nichts anderes als Leerheit. Ebenso sind Empfindung, Erkennen, gestaltende Faktoren und Hauptbewusstsein Lehre. Shareputra, so sind alle Phänomene Leerheit. Sie haben keine Kennzeichnung. Sie sind unerschaffen, nicht beendet, ohne Verunreinigung, nicht frei von Verunreinigung, ohne Verringerung und ohne Vervollständigung. Shareputra, daher gibt es in Leerheit keine Form, keine Empfindung, kein Erkennen, keine gestaltenden Faktoren, kein Hauptbewusstsein, kein Auge, kein Ohr, keine Nase, keine Zunge, keinen Körper, keinen Geist, keine Form, keinen Ton, keinen Geruch, keinen Geschmack, nichts Fassbares und keine Phänomene. angefangen von der Nicht-Existenz der Sphäre der Augen bis hin zur Nicht-Existenz der Sphäre des Geistes und weiter bis hin zur Sphäre des geistigen Hauptbewusstseins existiert auch nichts. Angefangen von der Nicht-Existenz von Unwissenheit und der Nicht-Existenz von der Beendigung von Unwissenheit bis hin zu der Nicht-Existenz von Alter und Tod und der Beendigung von Alter und Tod existiert auch nichts. Genauso gibt es weder Leid, Ursache, Beendigung oder Weg, weder transzendente Weisheit, Erlangen noch nicht erlangen. Daher, Sharipu, weil es kein Erlangen gibt, verlassen sich Bodhisattvas auf die Vollkommenheit der Weisheit, verweilen in ihr und haben keine geistigen Verdunkelungen und keine Angst. Das Falsche gänzlich zurücklassen, gelangen sie letztendlich über das Leiden hinaus. Alle Buddhas, die in den 3 Zeiten verweilen, verlassen sich ebenfalls auf die Vollkommenheit der Weisheit und erreichen in unübertrefflicher, vollständiger Erleuchtung die vollkommene Buddhaschaft. Deshalb das Mantra der Vollkommenheit von Weisheit, das Mantra großen Wissens, das unübertroffene Mantra, das Mantra, das dem gleicht, was ohne Gleichen ist, das Mantra, das alle Leiden vollständig stillt, das untrüglich und daher als wahr zu bezeichnen ist, das Mantra der Vollkommenheit von Weisheit, die sich verkündet. Taiyam Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattva. Shariputra, sagte der Bodhisattva Mahasattva, auf diese Weise soll man sich in der tiefgründigen Praxis der Vollkommenheit von Weisheit üben. Dann erhob sich der Buddha aus jener Konzentration und ließ dem edlen Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara sein Lob zukommen. Gut, Sohn, gute Familie, gut. So wie du es dargelegt hast, sollte man die Vollkommenheit der Weisheit üben, und es wird auch die Tathagatas erfreuen. Nachdem der Buddha diese Worte gesprochen hatte, freute sich der ehrenwerte Sharanvati Buddha, der edle Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, der transzendentale Fürst, das gesamte Gefolge und die Welt der Götter, Menschen, Halbgötter und sich von Duft ernährenden Wesens und priesen die Worte des Buddhas.
Dedication. Chanchu Simple, Consolation and Dissonance.
36.
Möge, wer den kostbaren, höchsten Erleuchtungsgeist noch nicht entwickelt hat, ihn entwickeln. Und wer ihn entwickelt hat, ihn nie verringern, sondern immer bei weiterhin erhalten. Möge die Quelle von allem Nutzen und Glück in dem von Schneebergen umgebenen reinen Land, aber die Geshe-la, Tenzin Gyatso, bis zum Ende des Daseins-Kreislaufs verweilen. Möge es nun den Verhaltensweisen des Erhabenen aufrechterhält und die siegreiche Lehre des sanften Beschützers bewahrt, hütet und ausbreitet, alles auf sich nimmt, sie zu festigen und die Segenskraft der Ehrung der 3 höchsten Juwelen erfüllen, zu unserem Schülern Schutz ständig verweilen.
Oh yeah, thank you.